In a first of its kind of case in Colorado, a Mesa County jury just awarded $8.75 million to mothers who say a fertility doctor lied to them.
The women signed up for an anonymous sperm donor back in the 1970s and 80s, but later learned Dr. Paul Jones used his own sperm to get them pregnant.
KRX5's Austin Sack followed the case in court from the start and joins us to explain the jury's verdict. Austin.
Rob and Jocelyn, it's a complicated case. Basically, a jury awarded $5 million in compensatory damages and $3.75 million in punitive to 3 different families who sued Dr. Paul B. Jones. Now, the jury found Jones lied to his patients and used his own sperm to impregnate more than a dozen women using artificial insemination decades ago. I caught up with the plaintiff's attorneys, who says the families feel relief, but worry more Grand Junction victims may be out there and unaware.
We know that there are others, we know that there are other cases, and we know that this community will continue to discover more children of Dr. Jones as time goes on, as more people take these tests.
3 families spent 10 days in court piecing together happy birth stories turned tragic.
Honestly, this was so shocking and so unusual.
Infertility doctor Paul Brennan Jones and his former practice, Women's Healthcare of Western Colorado, is liable for negligence and fraud, among other claims.
The jury did the right thing. The jury saw what this case was, and they acted as the conscience of the community.
Jones surrendered his medical license in 2019, but was actively artificially inseminating women with his own sperm between 1976 and 1997. More than 15 half-siblings have come forward with ties to Jones so far. The former doctor, under court order, took a DNA test proving his relationship to the Emmons, Elliott, and Wilmoth families.
Obviously, DNA does not lie.
After jurors reached a verdict, I met Floyd Elliott, father of a Fruita teacher who learned she was related to Jones.
It's very relieving.
They feel great. They were all treated equally. They all feel they were treated fairly by this jury, and they feel like they were treated like they were people.
Also an emotionally overwhelming moment for the Elliott family. I asked what they would say to other families.
It's really sad that they had to go through this. Dr. Jones did a sick thing.
The Elliott family and a few others courageously told their story, but also helped enact Colorado's first bill to ensure prosecutors would treat future cases of so-called fertility fraud as a crime. The recent legislation made it a felony for healthcare providers in Colorado to use their own sperm or eggs for a donation unless the patient gives written consent. It also makes it easier for offspring to sue. Reporting first and live in the studio, I'm Austin Sack, KRX5 News. Rob and Jocelyn.